If you're feeling like you'd like more time, then I want to share something with you. What I want to share is a way of thinking about time that can have your way of using time change. If you think about time in this way as the way that you might think about it already, the way you use time can change. And then when the way you use time changes, the amount of time you have available increases if you do it this way. So, whenever I think about all the stuff I need to get done, I think, oh my God, there's no way I can fit that in the amount of time that I have, right? It's 24 hours in a day. I need to sleep, I need to eat, I need to shit, I need to shave, I need to do a certain amount of things to get the stuff done, right? And then all my work, family stuff, fitness, everything. Oh my God, how am I going to fit it in? But if I think about the action I need to take and 24 hours, then I think this action needs to be done, and there's like 30 hours worth of action, and there's only 24 hours in a day, so I can't fit it. How am I going to do it? I can't, right? It's like trying to fit more M&Ms into a jar than could fit in the jar. It's like, what am I going to just smash them in? I can't fit them. And so people talk about, oh, you just put in what you can put in, and the rest, just leave them for tomorrow, which is true, and I think that's a great attitude, but it misses a point. That actually you can fit more M&Ms in the same jar, but you have to come at it a little bit differently. And the way to come at it is to look at the space between the M&Ms. There's almost as much space between the M&Ms because they're almost spherical in the jar as there are M&Ms in the jar, right? So how could we fill the space where there's not M&Ms between the M&Ms and have even more of them in the jar? Well, it's pretty obvious, right? What do? You just smash the M&Ms. Right? We would think, oh, I want to put M&Ms in the jar. What if you just smash the M&Ms? Well, okay, so that's the spatial metaphor, but how is that represented when it comes to time? I call it compressing time. Compressing the stuff, like the M&Ms in the jar, the equivalent of that would be to compress the stuff that we spend time doing. So how do we compress all the things we need to do so that the same stuff gets done, but it fits in less time? So there's lots of ways you can approach that, but the primary way of thinking about it that will enable you to compress time, to compress the stuff that you're using your time for, is instead of thinking about what I have to get done, as in the actions I have to do, start to think about the outcomes I need to produce as a result of doing those actions. What are the results that I want to achieve today? Because if instead we think about the outcome that needs to be produced, we can then adopt a completely different strategy, maybe completely different or maybe slightly different, to achieving that outcome. So if instead of actions to take today, it was outcomes that I want for today. And if let's just take fitness for example. If I want to get stronger, I could say, I could go to CrossFit for an hour, or I could skip the gym and do 10 minutes of really intense, specific, strength-focused conditioning and weightlifting or something like that. Oh, I can get the same outcome or a better outcome in less time. But I want to focus on one particular way that shows up for almost everybody, and that's in the realm of being with people and being in conversation. If you're in business or even at family time in life, just like you need to talk to your wife or your husband or your partner, you need to have conversations, and I need to spend so much time in this conversation, whether it's a business meeting with a group or whether it's a one-to-one coffee meeting, whatever it is, phone calls. Most of us spend so much more time in conversation than we need to. We're like a jar of peanut M&Ms where it's like 60% peanut M&M and 40% empty space. And we're just having this conversation and we're talking about stuff that isn't really substantial and isn't really important to the point of the conversation. So if instead of thinking I need to speak with this person to do this conversation, we thought about what is the actual outcome that I want? What would I love to achieve as a result of this conversation? Because most conversations that are 37 minutes could actually take place in 37 seconds. We're not talking about 60-40 M&Ms, we're talking about like 95-5. Most conversations are 10 or 20 times longer than they need to be to achieve the same outcome. Because people actually either don't go into a conversation knowing the outcome they want, or they know it, but they don't feel courageous or willing enough to actually just talk about that thing, and they think they have to dance around a bunch of other stuff and beat around the bush until it's time that they can actually talk about that thing. So you want to come into awareness, ask yourself, what is it that I actually want as a result of this conversation? Okay, then you have the awareness, and then the next thing is, well, what if I would just ask for that? What if I would just point that out right at the beginning? right? That takes all the M&Ms and goes squishes them down. Now you've got like almost an empty jar, and you've already you've achieved the most important thing. And maybe you haven't achieved the result in the positive way, but you've actually at least created a context that where both people or all the people involved understand what the real point of this meeting and this conversation is. So when I get on the phone with somebody, I usually dive straight into the point of the conversation. What would I like to ask or talk about at the end? So the reason I'm in this conversation today is because I want to connect with you on the possibility of you becoming my coaching client and investing and working with me. These are the fees. This is how long people work with me for. Now that we've said that, what's the first thing I want to say or ask from there? It's like, boom, this is why we're here. We've just saved ourselves 15 minutes of dancing or an hour of dancing to get to the point. So if you can actually figure out what it is you actually want to achieve as a result of a conversation or of any use of time, and then you can think about, well, how can I get to that result much quicker? What you do is you compress the time. You throw out all the air, all the stuff that's not necessary. And hey, look, you might ask and you might see, oh, well, this isn't working and I need to put some stuff back in. But at least you start adding things in, having already gone to the most important thing. And you'll definitely get to the result you want without having to fill the jar all the way back up with all that empty space again. So conceptually, the idea is that you can spend less time getting to the same results if you think about what the results are that you want today instead of what are all the actions you have to take today. Once you have an awareness around what the results you want are, you can ask yourself, how could I create that same result in less time? And specifically in the example of a conversation, the way that you can do that is to be more direct. And the way you be more direct is to be conscious of what you want as a result of the conversation. And you just talk about that or ask that right up front. Turn 37-minute conversation into a 37-second conversation. It takes consciousness, it takes awareness, it takes taking a moment of pause and asking yourself what that result is, and then it takes the courage and the willingness to just be direct and allow things to be a little bit bumpy or not really work that well in the beginning, and maybe it will be like that if it's new for you, but over time of you being this way, you'll get better at it, and you'll be able to do a lot more in a lot less time. So don't miss the fact that don't miss this one simple idea as being actually having the power to dramatically change your life. You take this principle on into every hour of your day, and I promise you, you will double the amount of time you have available because you'll be achieving so much of what you want to achieve in less time. Doesn't matter if it's around food. How can I achieve the same outcome of having a healthy meal in less time? About a conversation, how could I achieve this conversation result in less time? Literally, 1 hour conversation with my wife that now can take 2 minutes because I just know what it is that I want, and I connect with that and speak to that right up front, and it's quicker, it's easier. You can put it into any area. If you have questions about how to apply this, send me an email or message me a comment, and I'm happy to expand on it specifically to the context that would serve you. But most of all, play with this idea. Take it into your life. Practice it. Test it. Road test it. Experiment with it. And see how much time you can save for yourself and create for yourself. Today is the perfect day for you to create who you are. You are loved and you are powerful. And I am loving you simply for your being here. I will talk to you soon.